Welcome to the Electro Buzz podcast. I'm your host, Shnoll Layton, as always. Welcome back, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. This week is slightly different. It's the first podcast that's actually available on YouTube. So if you're listening to our podcast on Spotify, Google Play, and Apple, you can now watch it on YouTube as well if you prefer the video format. There's a few added bonuses, of course, with video, as always. It's always possible to add some stuff, so I will have articles linked below, and I will also have some of the extra context available on screen for people to view. So let's get right into it this week. We have, again, a couple interesting topics that I wanted to cover. As always, we have Tesla popping up again in the news. This one's just more of my curiosity and tracking their progress in and around the place because, of course, through COVID, they've still sort of carried on with everything and they've continued with the Shanghai factory. So that's one of the topics this week. We've also got UK government investment in green technology. I just read this morning, economy's doing terrible after COVID, which isn't a surprise because I think everyone's in the same boat when it comes to the world. So the money investment, don't know where that's coming from, but this is just a topic that we're going to be covering. And then Suzuki saying that they will eventually do an electric bike at some point, but the market isn't ready for it apparently. So those are the topics that we have this week. Getting into the first one, the UK government invests 73.5 million in green car technology. Again, if you are watching this on YouTube, I will have the article linked below, and I believe there is somewhere here. I believe the article is playing in the background, so you can have a look through that as well. It's another story of investment in green energy future, but sort of as I read through the article, it was pretty apparent that this isn't really anything more than a PR stunt when it comes to the UK government and specifically the Minister for Transport and Energy. When you look at the level of investment, it's honestly just a drop in the ocean. We have a saying here in the UK, I don't know if it's a saying elsewhere, but we say it's peanuts, and I wouldn't even say it's as much as peanuts. I think it's the dust of peanuts at this point, because 73.5 million sounds like a lot of money, but when you look at the money that goes into subsidies for oil and gas and the rest of it, which topples hundreds of millions, and then you look at the amount of money that's being invested by private companies and other governments around the world when it comes to green technology, we're talking billions and we're talking tens of billions. So 73.5 million is a drop in the ocean. It's nothing when it comes to the investment in green car technology, is what the article was stating. It was a press release by the UK government, I believe, as well, because you have a lot of commentary from the minister there. But what's more surprising is not just the level of investment that we're getting. It's not just the money that they're putting into it, but the fact that this money is being split between 10 different projects, 10 different research projects. So, you do 10 divided by 73.5 divided by 10, it gets even worse. I mean, the level of investment is just not where it should be. And not only that, you can really see it's a PR stunt when you look. And it says, most of the article focuses on the minister's statement saying that this will create jobs in the sector, which is, of course, something they really need at the moment. And they give the required political statements of success and creation. But in reality, it's pretty underwhelming and, in my opinion, a joke when compared to the level of investment made by competing nations and private companies, quite frankly. I was really hoping, with the level of research and development this country does, and we do give the world a lot of stuff when it comes to science, I really hoped we would lead the way when it comes to battery research and technology. And in some ways we are. A lot of the biggest universities here in the UK are leading the way when it comes to new battery technologies. But it's come to show a lot of private companies are investing in that research, and our government just doesn't want to really participate in that, which is sad to see because it is the future and it's happening all over the globe. Germany's doing a really big push for it, China, America, the usual players, but the UK is being left behind. So I guess that's the first story. It's a bit sad, but that's it nonetheless. The next topic is Suzuki says it's working on electric motorcycles, but the market isn't ready for it. Uh, Interesting one. I have two takes on this. I slightly agree with them, but I don't agree with the way they've said it. I think the market's ready for it. There's no doubt. I think so. If anyone knows anything about me as an individual, I absolutely adore bikes. I love, petrol. I'm just as much of a gearhead as anyone. So although I do this podcast on electric vehicles and renewable energy, it's not because I'm anti-petrol and anti-ice. I do love myself a petrol vehicle just as much as the next person, and bikes especially is a massive interest of mine. So, um, you know, it's not because I don't do these topics out of my disdain for petrol vehicles. So just putting that out there, if anyone sort of says anything against my level of bias or whatever it might be. So where I'm coming from with this is I look at bikes all the time, and I think electric motorcycles, there are some on the market. We've got people like Zero or the brand Zero. They are considered to be the Tesla of the biking world. They really try to innovate and push out electric models all the time. They've got a wide range of vehicles at the moment. The issue with electric vehicles, or electric motorcycles, I should say, compared to cars, is with cars, the extra weight that you have because of the batteries isn't an issue, because you can have it low down, because obviously you've got a wide platform to work with. With a motorcycle, it's narrow. It doesn't really have the ability to do that, so you don't have that low center of gravity. You can potentially, because you can somewhat distribute it versus an engine, but not to the same extent as a car. Then there's the factors at play with range. We know that the electric cars have reached a point where, especially if you've got like a Tesla Model S or something, you're doing 400 miles, it's fine. It's reached a point where it's not even an issue anymore, especially after it gets past 200 miles. With a bike, though, a lot of the Zero models, a lot of the other models out there, if you're really ragging on them and you're beaming down B roads, you're getting 50 miles of range. And bikes aren't known for having great ranges anyway. I mean, people know, especially if they're riding bikes on a regular basis, and petrol bikes will only do 100 to 150 miles anyway, some of them, especially if you're ragging them. So where I think Suzuki is somewhat right is, I think the consumer's definitely ready. I mean, electric bikes are amazing. They really do. They're just as good as electric cars. They have all the benefits, the increased torque. I mean, one of the world's fastest bikes is electric, so it doesn't. It's not performance related, the issues. Of course, with bikes, a bit of something that's lighter is obviously going to be a bit more agile and better. So electric does have an issue there, but where it really needs to develop is the technology needs to catch up. You need more capacity, you need more range when it comes to a bike, and you really do, because 50 miles is nothing if you're hooning it down a B road. I mean, I'll drive around the town a little bit in some of the B roads out in the country, and I'll be done. I'll be walking it back home. So 50 miles isn't enough. Technology needs to get there. The weight of battery technology needs to go down, and the capacity, of course, too. And that's where really I think bikes are struggling. I think those are the issues, and I don't think it's anything to do with the market. And not only that, actually, I should say the cost. I mean, the increased cost of a car is not too much of an issue versus an ICE vehicle, because the cost of ownership of a car is so expensive, whereas with a bike is a lot smaller. The upfront cost as well of a bike isn't that significant. But when you look at an electric bike versus its competitive ICE bike, it's like double the price. It's insane how expensive electric bikes are as well. So it does make sense that Suzuki isn't ready to play in it. They are a huge company. They don't need to. And to be honest, a little bit of like backstory to me. I as much as I love electric cars, and I think I would have an electric car over a petrol car any day, and the sound doesn't bother me, the lack of sound or whatever it might be. But when it comes to bikes, something about it's the sound. It's part of that freedom. It's part of the sort of exhilarating feeling you get of riding. I feel like, honestly, electric, as much as I love electric and I love electric vehicles, but I really do just love, I really, really do love a ice bike. And something about it, it's just that noise, the smell, the rawness of it. you're sitting on top of an engine. It's not like a car where you're secluded away from it and everything's sort of away from you, and you want that relaxation. If I wanted that, I would just get a car, like. But I want to be hooning around. I want to have a bit of fun. Obviously, you're gonna have commuters out there that really want quiet. You want comfort, so an electric bike might be useful to them. But all I can say is I'm really looking forward to electric bikes from Suzuki. But again, a little bit of part of me just kind of enjoys the sound and the feeling of a regular bike. Again, the link to the article, I think it's from Rider Part, sorry. It'll be linked in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And then going into our last topic for the podcast, it's quite a short one this week. Again, it's going on YouTube, so going through the experiment phase. Tesla's Gigafactory Shanghai construction progress. So as of June 5th, I've got a video that's playing here as well, here in this corner, as well as the article linked below. It's just going through some of the progression for the Tesla Shanghai factory. They carried on with construction through COVID. It slowed a little bit, but it's still massively going forward. Obviously, Elon Musk really was not happy about COVID. He was adamant to continue with the progress of Tesla. And it seems that they have been. The factory is looking, well, I wouldn't say near completion, but it's definitely looking big. Obviously, there's room to expand. If you've ever seen the Gigafactory in Nevada, they still have loads of capacity to expand on that. It's not reached its full size yet. And the same in Shanghai. I think it's 3/4 of what the Nevada one is, if not nearly there, the same size. So it's great to see the progress on that. And the footage looks amazing if you are seeing it on the YouTube channel. So yeah, they are looking obviously to ramp up production as well from 3,000 to 4,000 vehicles a month this month. So that'll be interesting to see if they can do that whilst also doing the construction for the factory. But on a side note, separate from Tesla, or somewhat related to Tesla, I guess, there's the idea that all these Chinese manufacturers, they're making some really cool cars when it comes to electric vehicles, and there's new brands popping up every single day in China. Decent prices with really decent quality, actually, and not what we expect from Chinese manufacturers at all. And I'm looking forward to those more than anything, actually. When they come to the West, I think we are definitely going to have some competition for Tesla, because we've already seen it in China, actually. Although Tesla's still a really popular brand and more popular than traditional brands in China, we've seen declining sales for the likes of Jaguar, Land Rover, BMW and the like. So Tesla's definitely got that brand appeal when it comes to China, but Chinese brands are starting to really sort of eat away at that. And it's not because of brand. I think Chinese people are starting to realize, especially the upper middle class and the new sort of wealthy within China, they're starting to realize that brand isn't everything, and they are comparing on a one-to-one basis. They're looking at the equivalent Chinese vehicle versus the Tesla and going, look, it's got the same capacity, it's got almost the same range, it's got similar levels of quality, if not better, because we all know what Tesla's quality is like sometimes. And we've got all these factors to take into consideration, and it's like half the price. So why not just go with the Chinese branded vehicle? So it's really interesting to see that. I know I don't like to be negative against Tesla. I do like Tesla. I'm not going to say I'm a Tesla fanboy. There is a lot of them out there. But I like what they're doing in the industry, obviously, and they're moving everything forward, which is always cool to see. And yeah, so those were our topics this week. Really short episode on the podcast. I think we're under, what was it, the under 20-minute mark. It's under 15 minutes, actually. So it's a short podcast this week. Again, I was just experimenting with the whole YouTube thing. We will have more episodes of the podcast on YouTube. But if you want more information on the Electro Buzz YouTube channel, again, it is Electro Buzz. It's the same as the podcast channel name, if you'd like to search for that. But the YouTube channel will also have some external videos more frequently about different topics. Some videos specializing on singular topics, and of course the podcasts will be up and available on the YouTube channel as well, if you prefer watching that. So you've been listening to the Electro Buzz podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and goodbye.